Hey everyone, this is Wei and welcome back. Let's do a quick illustration of the character from Overwatch, the Reaper. So let's get started and I'll talk about the process along the way. Alright, so let's draw this Reaper from Overwatch. Pretty cool looking character. With this kind of drawing, it's very almost geometrical, right? It's basically just like two big guns and stuff. So, and it's entirely symmetrical almost, so we can just kind of, let's just start with the head. And let's see, he's looking down. There's a lot of ways to do this. We can sketch in, block in the arms and things like that, but let's just go ahead and do the head first and then we can work from that. Because it is a symmetrical drawing, so you can almost do like a straight line in the middle. I don't know if that helps or not. I'm not too crazy about using grids, but sometimes it is useful. It is nice to have like a symmetry line so that you know that's where the middle is. Alright, so let's just rough that in. Let's get something going and see how it goes. You can always adjust for things. I'm using this is a 4B mechanical lead pencil, so it's a little bit soft for this kind of drawing, but I figure it's a little bit quicker. So his mask, let's see, coming straight down. All right, so it's kind of like a V shape, right? You see that. So you see the relationship between the eyes and the mouth, how it comes in like this and goes down. So it's very geometrical. Let's see, this thing comes down. There's a lot of little subtle shapes, but we can't, we don't have to do all of them. We can just kind of, get in the big stuff first. So when things are symmetrical, you can actually just work on one side and then just flip it over to the other side and kind of work on that. It's a little bit easier that way. Sometimes you can just, so that whatever you do on this side, just kind of match it to the other side. Anyhow, all right, let's see. And then his cloak goes up. So when you measure like how far does it go up, I'm just looking at the face. Looks like it's a little bit taller than his whole face, so that's why I'm gonna do it like that. All right, so let's now get down to the gun, which is really cool. So right now the lines are still very rough, and then we can go in and tighten it up a little bit. And now this one, there's a lot of little details going on here. So let me just block this in real quick. Let me just at least do a line so I can see where it's going. Probably comes up to probably somewhere around here, slightly over his head. There's a lot of little stuff going on. So his gun, God, lots of little details. I'm not sure how I'm gonna tackle this. I'm trying to figure out easier way to do this. I'm trying to get down to his hand so I can have kind of like the separation of where things are. All right, so his fingers right here. So things are kind of getting muddy, like even from the reference. Because all these, let me push this up a little bit. Okay, here's his hand. He's got a little pad here. Then he's got his fingers right around here, like off. Here are his knuckles. I'm just kind of blocking that in a little bit. Okay, so one finger, and other one's coming down. All right, make sure he's got 5 fingers. 2 and 3. Yeah, the armor and all that stuff is kind of really throwing me off. It's just a lot of little things. All right. Okay, so that's his hand right here. All right, let's do his gun. His gun is kind of like, it's got a little bit of an angle to it. It's not a flat on from the side, so there's all these little. Okay, let me see. Here. Just trying to see the big shapes here. There's one here, a little hook. There's a little joint here. He's got some shape here. Okay, got a little bolt here. Those little bolts makes for a good reference point. All right. So he's got some detailing here. Let's just skip that. And then here. Okay, so this one's a little bit more difficult because it is in it's not a flat side view, so you gotta, it's like in here, this is actually behind. Hope you guys can see all this because there's a lot of little stuff going on. Okay, so let's keep going. Right, let me see. Let's finish off this gun. It is cool looking. Okay, so there's a bevel here. There's an edge right here. Comes down. Looks like there's an opening here. Straight. For these straight lines, you know, just go ahead and eyeball it. It's actually very good practice for you. You could use a ruler, but you know what? Just eyeball it, because you know, the whole process of just drawing a straight line like this is very good practice for wrist control. So you know, whenever you draw a straight line, you see how I'm doing it. Just trying to move your whole hand and arm as much as possible, not just your wrist, because your wrist pivots. You know, your wrist pivots, so it's gonna make a nice curve instead of a straight line. All right, so let's see. How am I going here? Where am I going? All right, something going on here, and a little tube here. You know, very typical of game design characters. A lot of little stuff going on. Not everything always makes sense. Okay. All right. So and then let's see. Where should we go? I don't want to do the other hand because other gun because it's kind of the same thing. All right. Let's maybe just do this arm. I could probably just do this arm real quick. So it's got a big ring here. Okay, and then his arm comes down. Right around here. I'm just looking at the angles. Yeah, I'm just gonna rough it in. Okay, that's about the angle, and here's the little joint there. I guess maybe you do have to rough in the gun a little on this side. Let me just draw in. Just let me rough this in. Not necessarily the whole gun, but I just want to get the angle at least. This block of stuff. Because I don't want to repeat too much stuff on camera. It gets kind of boring. Alright, so we block that out. Looks like his finger, let's see from his other hand here. Looks like his finger comes into here. And then his trigger's right around here. Okay. Alright, and then now we can go in and do his shoulder here. So I'm lining up to the face, right? See, I'm looking at the reference, like from his chin line. His shoulder starts a little bit higher. So somewhere probably around here. There's a couple of straps in here, so we can just kind of, just block that in for now. So 1, 2, and then 3. Something like that. Straight shape here. Some more detail. Looks like it's got some spikes right here. All right. So let's move on to the other arm. So it's very symmetrical. So let's see, starting off here to the trigger point. Well, let's block this part in. Here's his other arm. So I see how I did this line here, and I'm just making like circular shapes. So it's just a way to remind me that this is cylindrical. You know, so when you sketch, you try to do like little contour lines. It actually helps to visualize the drawing a little bit better. Not sure. Let's see, 1, 2, and yeah, okay. This one's probably a little bit lower. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Looks like this is part of gun here for this. Yeah, sorry if this is getting a little messy. This is, this it's a complicated character, but this kind of helps in terms of whatever it is that you draw, because it's really all just looking at relationships and trying to find little things. Here's this belt and little details here. All right, let's just skip that. All right, let's start shading a little bit, which is the fun part. So I'm gonna go back to his face. Let's go back to let's do his eyes. I can hit that a little bit darker. So symmetrical, which in a way is kind of boring to do because it's kind of, so you do one side, now you gotta do the other side exactly the same. Okay, so this is darker here. Now it's trying to define the shapes a little bit better. And here's his mouth. Come straight down. His chin, his cheeks right here comes out. Slightly darker. See what I mean? It's like I do one side, now I gotta do the other side. Almost exactly the same. And then this goes in. There's some deep indentation there, and then this comes in, this jawline. Okay, and then in here it's pretty dark, so we can actually shade it black. All right, there's a little bit of detail in there. Again, we can add that in later. It's not just completely black. All right, but I just kind of want to show you. So this side's probably a little bit off. We can adjust for it later, or we can erase things out if we have to, but I'll try not to. Yeah, it's a little crooked. All right. So that's another thing about symmetrical thing is, sometimes it is not that easy to do things that are symmetrical, because when it's off, you can kind of see it easily. It's kind of like drawing a vase. It's actually really hard to get that symmetrical looking vase. Okay, all right. So now we can do this edge here is a little bit darker. Okay, and then his cloak. His cloak's got a little bit of highlight right around, well, let's see. We'll do the middle part right here. There's a line, there's a seam, and then the highlight runs along that seam. So we can actually shade it like this. You can exaggerate it a little bit. Push this down a little. And it's a little bit of lighting, very subtle. So if you don't want to do all this kind of shading, you can just do what I'm doing right now, just outlining, and because it is kind of a cartoon, it's not a super realistic character, so you can actually just draw. So if you want to do line drawings, it's just you just go over these lines with a harder harder edge, and then you have a nice drawing. But right now I'm just kind of trying to shade it as well at the same time, because it is a lot more interesting to do. So that's why it's taking a little bit longer. So once I have this flash shading, I go in, put in a little bit more detail, things like that. Okay. This is a cool looking character. All right, so I'm gonna shade this off camera, well, at least without me talking, because it's a lot of repetitive stuff. It's not I'm just repeating, so I can probably just show it to y'all on a speed drawing. All right, so I'm gonna continue on, and I'll be right back to show you how it finally looks. Alright, I'm back and here's my final drawing for this Reaper character, and I got a little bit lazy on this side. I just kind of do real quickly because it's kind of symmetrical, right? So it's the same as this side. So it's really boring to repeat something in the drawing. So I just kind of roughed it out. But overall, I think one of the things I found out about this drawing was that in the reference, this is kind of like a game art character. So there's not a lot of shadowing going on. So in here, there's like so much detail that even if I've kind of followed it, it's still gonna turn up kind of really messy because there's not a lot of realistic shadowing going on. So it's just very busy. Okay, so this is not it's not very realistic. So this is more like a real kind of like an illustration type. So that's one of the issues I found out. So I end up just doing this area really quick and just kind of finishing it out. But there are some areas that's kind of cool. Some of the gun here looks pretty cool, and his face is pretty cool. So this kind of drawing is very quick, very forceful with the shading. When you do shade it, try to be a little bit quick about it. Just find the area, just see something real quick and just hit it. And I kind of show that in the video, because this way of shading is a lot better because it's kind of like roughing in process, and you can always go in with more detail later on if you want. But it's really important to just be able to see something on a reference and just hit it real hard, and that way you can get used to seeing things in a simplified form and also in a simplified kind of shading. So it's a very important art process. So overall, I mean, this is kind of a fun drawing at the beginning, not so fun doing the other side. So anyhow, I hope you guys like this. Just give it a shot, see how it goes, and I will see you next time.